I have a stepfather. This is my story. I am from Russia. My father left my mom when I was a baby, so I never knew him, and then he disappeared from our lives completely. We didn't have any money. My mom had to work very hard as a waitress in a small restaurant just to pay for our rent and food. But she always told me that I was her greatest treasure, her greatest joy, and so despite the fact that we were very poor, she always made sure that I didn't feel like I was missing anything. When I was my mom met an American man. His name was George. He visited Russia as part of his job. Soon they began to date. When he first came to our apartment, I hid behind the door and listened to them talking. I remember that very well. The sound of his deep voice still rings in my ears. Then I saw him. He was tall with red hair and green eyes. He smiled at me and gave me a big hug. That was the first time I realized that there are men in this world who are kind and gentle. A year later, George proposed to my mom. Soon after, we moved to America. It was a real adventure for me. I learned to speak English as quickly as I could. I attended summer school. I studied hard. I also joined drama club and played in several school productions. I even participated in a poetry slam. I don't think that I would have been able to do all of that if I hadn't moved to the US, so I was very grateful to my mom and my stepfather for giving me that opportunity. George was everything that my mom wanted me to have in a man. He was caring, honest, intelligent, funny. But most importantly, he loved my mom very much and I knew that I could count on him. He was my rock, my hero. To this day, I can't believe how lucky I was to have him in my life. And then one day everything changed. George began to go to AA meetings. I didn't know what it was about. At first he invited me to join him, but I refused, because I didn't want to spend my Saturday nights in some dark room full of strangers. One night I came home early from a party and I heard voices coming from my parents' bedroom. I stood at the closed door listening. It was the first time I understood what they were talking about. "I'm sorry, George," my mom said in a low voice. "I want to tell you the truth. I have cancer." I felt like the floor was pulled out from under my feet. Cancer? Why? Why did she have cancer? My mom was the strongest, the healthiest woman I knew. "I'm going to fight for you and our daughter. We're going to beat this thing," he said. I peeked inside. George's face was pale, but he tried to smile. I ran away crying. I couldn't understand why my mom was sick. Cancer seemed like a huge monster that came into our lives and destroyed everything. Every morning I went to school with a lump in my throat and a single tear rolling down my cheek. What would happen to me if my mom died? Who would take care of me then? I hated cancer. It wasn't fair. My mom didn't deserve this. One day during recess, I went to the library and found a book called The Lovely Bones. It was a story about a teenage girl who died. She watched over her family and friends from heaven and waited for the day when she could rejoin them. The main character talked to her father and told him that he had to keep living and loving. The girl from the story was only 14. How could she be so brave? She didn't get to finish high school or go to college. How could she be so positive? On my way home, I stopped by the bookstore and bought a journal. I began to write stories about a young girl who faced all kinds of challenges, but in the end she always remained strong and hopeful. Writing those stories helped me deal with my feelings. My mom's cancer was aggressive. She underwent surgery and chemotherapy. During the hardest times, George stayed by her side day and night. He took care of her. He comforted her. Sometimes he would come to pick me up from school and I could see that he had spent the whole night in the hospital. His hair was messy, his clothes were wrinkled, but he still managed to crack a joke or two. He was the best husband and the best dad I could have ever asked for. 3 months after my mom's diagnosis, she passed away. I still remember the sound of her breathing. It haunts me to this day. The last thing she said to me was, "Don't cry, Katya, life is beautiful." Always remember that. Her last words were a challenge, a mission for me. I promised her I would live my life to the fullest and make her proud. Now, whenever I see a shooting star, I think of my mother. I talk to her. I ask for guidance and strength. I know that she's watching over me from above. I can feel her love every time I breathe. After my mom died, George became very quiet. He still loved me very much, But he couldn't look at me without tears in his eyes. For a while, he blamed himself for not being able to save my mom. He saved me by becoming an organ donor. Because of him, my mom was able to receive a new heart and liver, and even though she still died, he gave her more time with us, more time for the two of us to make memories. At the funeral, George held me tight and whispered, "You are the best girl. I'm so proud of you. Your mom and I were so lucky to have you." It's been years since my mom passed away. I graduated from university and got a job in marketing. George retired and now spends most of his time fishing. I visit him almost every weekend. When I was younger, I thought that my life was over after my mom died. Now I realize that she would want me to be happy. And I can't be happy if I don't honor her memory and continue living. I still miss her every day. I dream of her. Sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night feeling like I can't breathe, and I realize that I'm holding my breath. In those moments, I remember her last words. I remind myself that life is beautiful and I try to take a deep breath and calm down. My mom was right. You just need to learn how to look at things from a different perspective. Look at things through the eyes of a child. See the beauty around you. Laugh more, cry less. Try to be kinder, more compassionate and more forgiving. Don't let your emotions control you. Instead, control your emotions. Be brave and face whatever comes your way. And even if you fall, get back up and try again. Most importantly, surround yourself with people who love you, who support you and who believe in you. Never give up. Always remember that you're stronger than you think. I'm sure that if my mom were alive, she would say all of that. I know that because I hear it in her voice every time I close my eyes. Thank you for listening. See you next time.